Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. Today, doing something we've never done before. It's going to be a best of pro deck featuring the best of Night Witch. But I'm going to do it in 2 interviews in 1 video with Diegob and Messi. First, I have Diegob joining me right now on voice for the first time ever. Diegob, how you doing, man?
Hello, Ash. How's it going, man?
It's going really well, dude. It's good to finally get you on voice on the channel. It's been a long time, man. You've actually been on the channel quite a few times. Of course, on your Pro v Pro streak as well. Before voice, how does it feel to actually be talking?
Feels great. I'm ready.
Nice, nice. Well, I want to get to know you. We're going to be sharing 2 of your favorite Night Witch decks. I'm going to go ahead and put on a replay with both of the decks, and then we'll kind of get into the nitty-gritty. We'll watch some replays, and you can kind of walk us through the play-by-play. But before we do that, we're going to go ahead and press play here on the first replay, and I want to find out a little bit about Diego now that I actually have you on voice. So tell me about your history a little bit. Have you been a competitive gamer before Clash Royale? When did you pick up Clash Royale? And when did you figure out that you were a beast?
All right, so I haven't really gamed a lot except on mobile. I picked up Clash of Clans when it first came out, and I got addicted to that.
Weren't you in Powerbanks clan for a while or no?
Yeah, I was in WHF in Powerbanks clan.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun there. And then Clash Royale came and I picked it up and I got like addicted to it.
Nice. And then you left Clash of Clans behind at that point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just retired from Clash of Clans.
Yeah. Did you kind of get a feeling that you were really good at Clash Royale from the start?
Not from the start. I just played it casually, and then once the 15Ks the tournaments they came out, I got really excited for those. And I started like knowing that I was good, like a better player than most of the people.
What do you attribute you being so good right off the bat to? Is it just your hand-eye coordination, or are you seeing something in matches that the normal people like me, the average Joes, aren't seeing, or is it just a combination of practice? Like, to what do you attribute your success in the game to?
It just basically practice. I play the game a lot and I analyze replays all the time, and I learn from my mistakes and try to get better from it.
When you're looking at a replay, Diego, are you looking for what went wrong in a match and then trying to analyzing what steps led up to that error? Is that pretty much what you're targeting, or is there something else that you're looking at when you're watching your replays?
I look for my main error that I make in the game. The thing that cost me, basically.
And then you just try not to make that mistake again?
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, will you ever make adjustments after you watch a replay? So, like, say you're playing one of these decks and you're like, okay, this is the 3rd replay I've watched where lightning's killed me. Maybe I need a lightning bait card or something like that. Do you make adjustments often, or do you stick with a deck a while and try to find, like, the best way to play it, you know?
I stick with the same deck. I try not to change it up so much, especially in this meta where Night Witch is overpowered.
Yeah.
I just try not to do the same mistakes again.
Okay. So tell us about the Night Witch. Are you okay with her being like super powerful, or are you not a fan of it?
I mean,
obviously you're a fan to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, she did change the meta to make it less rock paper scissors, in my opinion. But she's still like too strong, and she's too viable right now. So just hoping for balance changes.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I really like that she's a powerful card. I really do. And I like that she changed the meta. I like that she's making other cards more popular and other cards less popular. But, you know, when you see every single deck that's winning tournaments, or every single deck at the top of ladder at the end of the season with Night Witch, yeah, maybe that's too high of a usage rate, you know?
Yeah, it is. She definitely needs a nerf right now.
Yeah. So, okay, some basic questions, because I was told by one of my viewers that I've been forgetting to ask pros about this, so I want to make sure I ask you. But some basic kind of silly questions for you. Number one is, do you tap or drag your cards?
I tap cards.
Oh, okay, you're a tapper. Interesting. We've had a few draggers on before, before you. So you tap your cards basically, so you just hover over where you're going to play them and you tap them?
Yeah, that's what I basically do.
Have you ever tried dragging?
Like sometimes I drag, but like I try not to. I just prefer tapping.
Okay.
It's much quicker.
And do you prefer playing on a tablet or on a phone?
I don't really do tablet. I play on my phone.
Okay, I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Do you think it would be difficult if you ever went to a live competition and they only had tablets, or do you think it'd just be that not that big of a deal to adjust?
I think I'd adjust to it.
Yeah, because I gotta say, like, first of all, I'm no pro, so I would have lost no matter what. But every time I make it to the finals in any of these tournaments, or every time, well, it's been twice, but both times when I make it to the main stage, I'm like, crap, it's on an Android tablet, and I play on an iPhone phone, you know? And, like, it's just a little bit different enough so where you're a little bit off your game. You're already off your game because you're on a stage, you know? But anyway, do you hope to someday compete live?
Yeah, I do. That's a big goal of mine, is to go to a live event and play well.
Awesome, man. Well, we're rooting for you. I think that you're in the process of maybe trying out or something for Team Queso. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to get contracted by
Nice.
Team Queso.
Well, Alvaro and Team Queso and all the guys over there are awesome. Marcel and Surgical and blah, blah, blah. So wishing you the best, man. You're definitely one of the best players. I don't see you having any issues there. But tell us a little bit about these decks. Why are they both your favorite Three Musketeers? Why are they both your favorite Night Witch decks that we're watching right now? Start with either one. Whatever one you like the best.
Okay, so the Graveyard deck is basically an updated Splash Yard deck. Its Executioner has been replaced by Boulder, and I've replaced the Electro Wizard by the Night Witch.
And why do you like the Night Witch over Iwez?
I just feel like the Night Witch is better because it's basically meta right now.
Yeah. So
Just
we know,
updates it.
yeah, we know how strong she is, obviously. How do you see her fitting into this deck specifically, into Splash Yard? Is it mainly as an offensive unit, a defensive unit, a counter push unit? Like, how are you playing the Night Witch in the Splash Yard deck?
I like to use the Night Witch aggressively sometimes. For example, if I see my opponent places a pump, I immediately do Night Witch Graveyard on the other lane.
Wow, super aggressive. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's also really good at defense. Just solid.
Okay. Let's go ahead and hop into that deck, and then we'll switch over and cover the Three Musketeer version. So let's watch the replay against, you shared here against Gian. And I'm going to pause it at the beginning.
Oh, I think it's Leto.
Oh, my bad.
That's the Three Muskie.
Gotcha. All right, cool. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pause it at the... Oh. What one is the graveyard? Oh, the Leto.
The replay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second replay I showed.
Okay, here we go. Let's watch it. I'm going to pause it at the beginning, and if you could just kind of walk me through and tell me maybe about your thought process throughout the match, and, you know, I'll ask you some questions here and there. So I'm going to pause at the beginning, let me know when you're caught up to me, and then we'll press play together.
All right, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play, Diego. So how do you feel about the starting hand?
The starting hand's okay. I like having like Executioner, Knight, and Graveyard for my starting hand, just in case I need to react quick.
Okay.
Skellies are always cycle card.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really like having any spells to start off with.
When you say cycle quick, do you mean, or not cycle quick, when you say you like having Knight Graveyard in your opening hand, if your opponent was to drop like a Giant or a Golem, would you immediately hit in the opposite lane?
Yeah, I do that.
Okay. So once you see you're going against Three Musketeers here, what is your mindset?
So first I'm thinking if they have heal or not, and I debate whether I need to poison the muskies or poison anything else.
Okay. And then you...
Most of the times if they have heal, I like to poison the collectors and forget about the musketeers because they're just gonna use the heal on them anyways.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So now that you do obviously have poison, now you're reserving your poison for now for the Three Musketeers. So what about, well, offense, obviously you got that really nice push on the right lane. Tell us a little bit about, okay, you're playing the Night Witch in the back here. Where's your mind at right now in the match?
So right now I'm thinking that he's gonna play 3 muskies at any point, so I have my poison ready. So he does play. Yeah, that was a mistake here, thinking that he didn't have heal, but he did. So he uses the heal and he has all his muskies alive now.
Uh-oh. But you actually have, I mean, your deck is full of great counters. I'd say this is defensively a really strong deck. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'll agree. Like the Night Witch, the Executioner, the Knight, all like great on defense.
Yeah. So when in a typical match would you say is like your normal first graveyard push? Are you the type of player who likes to kind of assess the opponent first and wait to see what their counters are, or will you go, you know, with the caveat of, we already talked about the, if there's a giant coming at you or whatever, of course you'll go aggressive. But other than that, are you going to kind of play passively at the beginning, or are you not afraid to go aggressive right at the start?
At the start, I like to play more passive. I like to just drop cards at the back and see what they have. And I can tell from like the first 2 or 3 cards what deck they're going to be using. And then I'll decide if I need a graveyard or not.
Okay. So usually the first graveyard really does depend on what they have. What if they have like a bunch of graveyard counters? Do you have like a secondary win condition with this deck?
I mean, most of the time with graveyard, you can build up big pushes from the back with your like Baby Dragon or just Night Witch, and then just slow roll a big push with the graveyard and poison out whatever they have to counter.
Yeah, that's true. Like those monster pushes, even if they have a bunch of counters, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, where you can almost always find something to do at least a few hundred damage, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we move on to the Three Musketeer deck, any common mistakes or anything that people should be aware of before that, maybe something that you learned by watching your losses that you want to share with the viewers out there, what not to do in and it could be even against a specific matchup using the graveyard version or the splash yard version?
So like 2 main things basically.
Mm-hmm.
Either like doing a graveyard push without like I only do a graveyard push to punish most of the time to start off with. If not, I wouldn't do it because they can drop minions or whatever. They can counter that, and then you're behind an elixir for the rest of the game. So I recommend that.
Okay.
And dropping Executioner in the back, like without knowing what they have.
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think saving your Executioner for defense is really key.
That's a really good piece of advice, because it's funny, yesterday I just finished recording a video with Guanek, who finished first in the world, and he 3-crowned somebody so easily using Giant Night Witch. And it was essentially, the person had 1,000,000 good counters in their deck. They were playing Executioner Tornado, but they made the mistake, just like you said, of dropping that Executioner behind their King Tower to start off the match. And immediately, Guanek was like, okay, Night Witch other lane, and it was a 3-crown on the very first push. So, yeah, that's great advice there. So you're saving your Executioner to wait till you see what the opponent has, and then you want to make sure you're saving it for, you know, especially if they have Night Witch or any big offensive push.
Yeah, since Night Witch is so meta right now, it makes sense to bring Executioner.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the Three Musketeer. I'm excited about this deck because I love Three Musketeer decks. So I gave this deck a little bit of a try last night. I did all right with it. I made a few adjustments. If you guys are curious, this is the version that I've been playing. Had a little bit more success with it, but I hadn't talked to Diego first. I just had the deck, so I didn't actually get any tips for it. And that goes to show you the difference of not getting tips for a pro deck and having tips for a pro deck. So anyway, let's go ahead and turn on the replay. What do you think, against Gian this time?
Sure, that's fine.
Cool. I'll pause it at the beginning. And I'll press play in 3, 2, 1, now. tell us a little bit about this deck. What are you doing? You told me off air that it was a high risk, high reward deck, but it certainly can be incredibly rewarding when you, especially when you execute on that heal. So tell us a little bit about the deck in general. What are you trying to do? Why is it different from a regular Three Musketeer deck?
Yeah, so the deck has Ice Golem and Night Witch, which is seeing an uprise in the meta, and I've put it in the Three Muskie deck. Basically, you first want to place collectors and try to build up an elixir advantage. Most of the times, you're gonna take a lot of damage on your towers. You're gonna have to sacrifice damage for pumps, basically.
Okay. That's actually a really good point, because I noticed that I used to do this too, and a lot of Three Musketeer users, no matter what deck you're using, they tend to kind of have a tendency to over-defend a little bit. So that's an important point, that you're putting your pump's value over your tower's HP.
Yes.
And okay, this is cool that you're going up against a mirror match here. So when are you typically playing the Three Musketeers, and tell us about the ideal push? I think we all know what it might be, but tell us about the first time that you're going to go ahead and drop that heal spell and what the ideal push would be.
So I'd say that versus Three Musketeers without heal, it's probably the hardest matchup, because heal isn't that useful when you're playing against Three Musketeers that only have Zap or Log. They don't have a Poison or a Fireball or nothing. So what you want to do is basically just pump up. Well, just cycle the pumps. You have Ice Golem, Skelly, Zap, so cycle the pumps and then drop all the Muskies on one lane, depending on what's happening, and then just try to slow roll big push.
Would you rather have a... How do you tell the difference between when you want to drop another pump or when you want to play your Three Musketeers and go after a big push? Is it all just depending on time and situational, like who's in the lead in the match?
I usually like to stop pumping after 2 minutes.
Okay.
Depending on what's happening. And I don't drop the Musketeers until a double elixir.
Okay. What if you really need them defensively? Are you ever like in a weird spot where, say, a golem's coming on one lane and you know they might have like lightning? What do you do in that situation? I find that that's one of the most difficult situations as a Three Musketeer user. Is like, okay, I know they probably have Fireball or Lightning. They're coming at me with a really heavy push right now. What do I do? It might be a Lava Hound. It might be a Golem.
So with beatdown decks, I know most of them bring Lightning. So I like dropping all the Muskies in the same lane as the tank that's approaching. And then most of the times I can tell how much elixir they have, and if they're going to lightning my Musketeers when I drop them all in the same lane. So I like using my Battle Ram to block the lightning.
Okay. Okay, so use an early Three Musketeer and then try to get that Battle Ram down to act as a lightning rod, and then you're still sitting with 2 Musketeers.
Yeah.
Or 2 Musketeers and Barbarians. So nice. Any common mistakes with this deck before we let you go?
Common mistakes, probably just throwing your 3 Musketeers down without pumping, having any pumps.
Yeah.
And over defending. I think that's a big mistake. Because with this deck, you're going to take a lot of damage, but in the long run, it's going to be worth it.
Okay, man. Yeah, I feel like it's a really fun deck to play, especially when you can get one of those really big pushes off with with a Night Witch and 3 Musketeers and Battle Ram, and then drop that heal, and it's just like, whoa, nothing. They can't be stopped. You know, it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's very hard to stop.
Well, I just wanted to thank you again for coming on Voice, Diego. I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm happy that you shared these 2 decks with us. I'm sure the audience is really going to enjoy them. So any parting words, any shout-outs, anything that we should know before we let you go?
I just want to say thanks, Ash, for having me on the channel. It's a privilege to be here.
Ah, shucks. Thanks, Diego, man. It's always great to talk to you. And, oh, I got to ask before I let you go, too. How did it feel when you were on that epic Pro v Pro run?
Oh, it felt great. I got nervous a lot of the times, but I just tried to play my best.
Yeah, well, you certainly did
really
that.
fun.
Was there one opponent who you were super worried about that you kind of surprised yourself with, or was it just basically all of them?
Basically, surgical goblin.
Yeah.
Surprised.
Well, good job, man. You picked up the victory, and you had a really nice record going. So congrats, dude, and thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ash.
No problem. All right, guys, we will move on to Messi right now. See you in a second. All right, guys, so here I am back magically through the magic of time lapse. I have a haircut now. No hat this time. But I am happy to be joined by Messi for the second half of today's video. And again, I would really love your feedback, guys. If you like this 2-interview, 1-video type format, or should I just break it up into 2 separate videos next time? Just trying something new. But anyway, Messi, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you, Ash?
I am doing fantastic. Super excited to have you on. First time you've been on the channel. Tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to go ahead and turn on one of these replays. But while we do, who are you and why are you so dang good at Clash Royale?
Well, I used to play for Mastery, and then the team got disbanded. So then I was just moving around. Then went to Fresno Finest, and here I end up in the Elite Gaming Pro competitive team. And
yeah, welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm enjoying it so far. It's quite a good experience. Loving the environment. Very fun.
Cool. I mean, I didn't intend to ask you this, but being in so many like elite or really well-known clans and now being in Elite Gaming, this is such a weird question to ask, but whatever, I'm going to go with it. But what do you think we could do better to be, something we could take from some of those clans to make the competitive aspect of Elite Gaming better?
I feel like integrating teams and making like friendships is very important, and just having fun as a group is very important. So if you just have fun as a group, winning will just be that much better.
Yeah, for sure. I did hear that Mastery, especially Mastery GG, was really well known for their really big and organized practices. Did you experience that with them?
Yeah, I went to almost every practice and enjoyed every single one of them. It was really fun, very organized, and you took away a lot from the entire experience.
That's so cool, and that's something that I think a lot of viewers don't maybe not realize, but like, you know, it's the rich get richer when it comes to pro players because they all practice with each other and get even better by playing against the best. So like that gap kind of widens in a way. It's kind of unfair, but it's also the best way to get better is play against good players. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I have this group of players that I always play against, Jack, Ace, and Thunderup, and those guys are really good, and they helped me to get to where I am today and just helping me improve overall.
Awesome, man. So anything about you as a player that, like, did you play any competitive games at all before Clash Royale, or is this the first game that you kind of got really involved in a more competitive esportsy type way?
Yeah, it's the first game I played competitively because I started so early on. Usually I was like a late bloomer to gaming, so I just, started this game as soon as it came out, so I just became really good at it.
Late bloomer to gaming, I like it. So what is your all-time favorite game aside from Clash Royale, or do you not even have one?
I'm not sure. I don't really have one, I don't think.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the deck that we're playing. First of all, is it obviously it's a graveyard deck? It's like a splash yard version with Night Witch, of course, because Night Witch is everywhere. Tell us a little bit about the deck, and is this generally the type of deck, a graveyard deck that you're most comfortable with anyway, and you kind of added the Night Witch to make it even better, or is it something you've totally kind of shifted gears towards?
Well, I used to play Tag's graveyard cycle deck a bit, and I kind of enjoyed how you can quickly cycle to graveyards and you can just gain a lot of value from your cheap defenses. So basically what I noticed is that the Night Witch usually always gets value, especially with the cycle cards, and it just makes you get these positive elixir trades, and it just allows you to take down towers pretty easily.
Yeah, it's a really fast deck, which is cool. I love fast decks, and it really has like it's kind of an assortment of all the OP cards in the game, which usually is a recipe for something pretty good, right? It has Tornado, it has obviously Night Witch, Executioner, Graveyard, so it's definitely stacked. Tell us a little bit about the deck in terms of what type of it seems like a fast deck, an aggressive deck. Is that the case as far as tempo goes, or does it shift as you're depending on what your opponent's playing? Or tell us just about the kind of philosophy of the deck.
Basically, at the beginning, that's when I can take down a tower. So if they pump up, I can immediately go for the kill. And I usually get the tower to either half health or fully just done. So you just want to be very aggressive at the beginning because you know that you can always recoup the elixir you lost with your cycle cards and the tornado itself. And yeah, you can just be very risky with this deck, but still make it out alive.
Yeah, that's definitely something that frustrates me as a non or as a pump player, I should say, because I usually run like Three Musketeers pump, and now in this meta, it seems like more than ever, I'm really susceptible to opposite lane like punish pushes to start out the match. It's almost making me want to hesitate to lead off with the elixir pump. Do you think that's a good move now? Like if you're an elixir pump player, do you think that you should now wait because of people like you who are liable to punish them in the other lane?
I feel like pump isn't that good because like Night Witch offers so much punishing power. So honestly, if you're gonna have to use pump, I wouldn't say putting it as your first play is a smart choice.
Okay, that's valuable advice there because I'm gonna have to change my gameplay a little bit to reflect that. But I think it's good advice too. Do you want to go ahead and I think a good way, what we did with Diego too, is a good way to kind of introduce us to the deck is kind of walk us through a replay here. I just showed one replay, but I'd really like to get inside your head on another one. Do you mind if we start with the Three Musketeer Night Witch deck?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. I'm gonna go ahead and pause at the very beginning here. Let me know when you're in the replay, and we'll count it down.
Okay, I'm here.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play. So, it's a good time as ever to start talk about an ideal starting play. How do you feel about this hand here that you're starting out with?
It's okay. I usually like to have Skelly's Tornado in case they like send in an early hog. Ice Spirit or Poison, something like that. So I can just poison a pump or something like that. Just gain value immediately.
Okay, and you just did what we talked about there. Like you saw them put down the pump, and you're immediately attacking the same lane with that graveyard push. So
yeah.
you have to be pretty excited about the start to this match here.
Yeah, exactly. And like I got so much value off of that poison, and I'm still in this game, even though I committed so much.
Yeah, that's true. And you took down the pump, which is obviously paramount if you're going to invest that much in your push. Now, if they because of your poison, you can really target the pump no matter where they place it if they make it the first move. What about if they don't start with a pump and you don't have any cycle cards in hand, what would be an alternative, like secondary starting play for you? Would it be just, would you ever play the Night Witch as your first card, for example?
I guess I could, but what ends up happening is that they have Executioner, and that just gains just free value. And I don't like that. So in that case, if I really have to play it and then they send an Executioner, if I have mine, I'll put mine behind at the back, and it'll just recoup that elixir that I lost, and I could go in for a graveyard potentially.
Okay. And let's talk about Graveyard. So Graveyard is pretty obvious to most players how to play Graveyard by now, but do you have any tips, especially specifically about this deck? Are you mostly always using Graveyard with your Ice Golem to tank? If not, what are the other circumstances that you'd use it, or what other combinations?
Sometimes if you are playing against another Graveyard deck, you might have to poison on defense if you're in a bad situation. So an okay push would be to go Executioner Graveyard, and then if they give you troops that are worth tornadoing to the king and then hitting both the tower and the troops. So if they play like a Baby Dragon or a Night Witch, you can just kill it and get a lot of damage on the tower.
Okay, yeah, that actually makes sense too, and I imagine you get a lot of pushes like that, especially counter pushes with the Executioner, kind of, you being used as a counter push troop, I guess. What about the defense in this deck? Obviously, Tornado Executioner is a big part of it. I mean, is there anything else we need to know about the deck defensively?
Night Witch is really key to saving on defense because when you're down a lot of elixir, it can just recoup that right away. And also, poisoning on defense isn't always a bad idea because you can just cycle back to it when you want a graveyard. And yeah, just you'll always be able to recoup value with such a quick cycle and always being able to get back to the cards you want.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I love cycle decks, because I hate to be like hamstrung away from either my win condition or my best defensive counter. So that's why I personally prefer cycle decks like this. So you're really speaking my language here. Let's go into the next game here, and I'll try not to blab so much, and you can give us a better play-by-play type situation. Let's go against the close match versus Minor Poison. Again, I'm going to pause it at the beginning and let me know when you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
3, 2, 1, play. Okay, so going up against Minor Poison, first of all, how do you feel about a Minor Poison matchup for this deck, and what do you think the most difficult matchup is altogether for this deck?
I feel like 3M Heal can be very difficult at times because, like, if you're caught down on Elixir and then they place 3 Musketeers, you could be in big trouble. However, you can usually cycle back to your cards. Honestly, I don't see this deck having much weaknesses because it's so versatile and it can play well against almost any archetype that's prevalent right now.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. It does seem rather versatile. Okay, so bring us back into this match here. What's going through your head so far in the match?
Right now, I'm not really sure what he's playing, so I'm not trying to go for the kill just yet, especially since he hasn't played a pump or anything. And yeah, a Battle Ram is actually surprisingly good against this deck since my main counters to it would be like Ice Spirit, Skeletons, Night Witch, and whatnot. But basically, I can be caught without them, or like they can log it as they did here, and I can be in big trouble.
Okay, so now do you have a kind of a hunch that he's playing 3M, or actually 3M, that he's playing Minor at this point? Because you saw the Minor, obviously, so I guess you would, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is your game plan going against, or how does your game plan shift if you're going against like a Minor deck versus a beatdown deck or something like that?
Beatdown, I'll usually like place my Night Witch at the back so it can like build up the bats. Versus a Minor deck, I'd usually place the Night Witch on top of the Minor because it just kills it right away. Okay. And in this, I can't play very aggressive because I know that he'll always have like he won't be committing to such big pushes as a beatdown deck player would. So yeah.
So you play a little bit more passively, offensively.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, the more expensive the push you're going against, the more aggressive you're able to be. Especially like any other deck, when they drop a golem or something, you're not afraid to hit the other lane aggressively because you know you have time defensively. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Cool. What about any common mistakes with this deck? Do you think that obviously playing aggressive against the wrong type of deck, like you just mentioned, is an important point? Is there anything else that people, you would say, do, maybe just too many graveyard pushes or maybe not enough? What do you think the common mistakes would be?
Sometimes it would be just having this like sixth sense of knowing when to push. And like when you're down on Elixir, you don't want to push that much. And some people, they just throw all their Elixir in the other lane, even the Night Witch, which is your main defensive tool. And it just you're in for a world of hurt if you're caught without those cards that you need.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that the Night Witch is good to combo with Graveyard or not really?
Yeah, it's sort of like the Lava Hound Graveyard that we saw like at the beginning when it was fairly new. And it's just like you can use it to tank, and then it just spawns all these bats, and they don't really have an answer for it most of the time. So it's pretty deadly as well.
Yeah, it seems it. Do you think that Night Witch needs a nerf, in your opinion?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, she's like crazy. It almost feels like, I love that she's strong, but it almost feels like it's unfair if someone does, especially if you're like on your 12th win, going for a 12th win in the Grand Challenge. Like if someone's not playing a Night Witch, you're almost like, whoa, impressive, not a Night Witch tech, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's totally taken over. So yeah, I think that she does too. I do like I said, I do like that she's powerful, but I don't think it's healthy to have usage rates like in every single top tech, the Night Witch in there. So would you say this deck is good for ladder as well, or is it mostly just a challenge deck?
I'd say it's mostly a challenge deck because you can grind out those quick wins and you can just, rack up a lot of cards won and all that in gold. But for ladder, it's like Executioner is like an epic, and it's just there's better options that you have for ladder.
Yeah, if you wanted to make this deck into a ladder deck, is there maybe a couple substitutions? Let's say you have like a decent level graveyard and you have a level 1 or 2 Night Witch. Would you make any would you like swap out Executioner for like I don't know I don't know what you'd swap out for, because Baby Dragon and stuff is also obviously an epic card as well as Bowler. Maybe I don't know. What, any recommendations?
Um, just even in challenges, sometimes I see people running log for Ice Spirit or zap for Ice Spirit, and that also is works. But I don't really see this being a ladder deck, so I don't see much changes you could make. However, you could put Knight for Ice Golem, for example, or log for Ice Spirit, as mentioned before.
Yeah. Yeah, good points. And thanks so much for sharing the deck, man. I really enjoyed it, and I thought you did a great job kind of steering us in the right direction. So I wanted to thank you. Do you have any shout-outs, anything that we should know about you before we let you go, Messi?
I just want to thank all my friends, Jack, Ace, and Thunder Up, that helped me get here and just help me improve every day. And I also want to thank Elite Gaming for letting me be on their team, and I'm really excited for my future there.
Awesome, man. Well, so excited to have you. Obviously, goes without saying. And thanks again for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
All right, guys. So that is it. It is the double episode. I hope you enjoyed it. A huge shout out to both of my guests, Diego B and Messi 10. I thought it was great. I really loved reviewing these really strong Night Witch decks. Make sure you check out my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. You can find his information in the description below. Guys, thanks so much for watching. And as always, take care, guys.